Alpha male podcaster now facing 55 years in prison. Let's run it.
This self-proclaimed alpha male just pleaded guilty to 11 charges in federal court. All of them were for some sort of stalking. And now,
who's this guy?
He's facing up to 55 years in prison. And then on top of that, a fine of up to $2.75 million.
A man from Whitehall Borough who was accused of stalking women he met at local gyms pleaded guilty in federal
Brett Dad. The Dig. Never seen this guy.
court.
And yeah, I mean, to be fair, the guilty plea does kind of make sense considering he incriminated himself on his podcast over and over again.
Yeah, if you want to fuck with a 6'2" jack dude who's gonna have a gun permit in Iowa, then yeah, you can come with me, see what happens to you.
So this guy was documenting
I think if you call yourself an alpha male, you are not an alpha male.
his entire life in an attempt to, I guess, seem busy and successful to his peers. But it became obvious very quickly that the other people did not look at him the same way he looked at himself. I mean, it would be hard for him to sell some of these public posts as
That shit just corny.
anything else but direct threats.
I spent 20 days in jail, and then last night I post a story of a girl coming at me, and I said, "You all want to see a body?" Like thinking like I just bodied this girl. Like you got absolutely bodied and eviscerated on my story
Bro, they'd just be giving everyone a microphone.
for 7,700 plus people. Why are we doing why are we doing this? Why can't we just like be friends and like fall in love? What is hard about that? Oh, because you have daddy issues, or your dad didn't love you as a kid, so you have to with me? Oh, okay. Sweet. Love that for me.
Because it seems like he was using ChatGPT as some sort of like therapist and life coach that was essentially
Bro, ChatGPT is like a hype man. Even if you're wrong, ChatGPT will still find a way to make you right.
just echoing and enabling his insanity. And honestly, how much accountability are you taking when you're comparing yourself and your wrath, which is, I guess, stalking women in multiple states at gyms, and comparing that to God flooding everything?
You people, like, you look at me and you see my chaos and on my Instagram and you see me calling people out. Jesus did the same thing. God and Jesus are love. They're a lot of love. They're a ton of love, but they're also wrath. God flooded the earth because he was like, you know what? All of you, I hate what you're doing down there. So guess what?
Is this real? Like, I just want to make sure like what I'm hearing is correct.
I'm killing all of you. I'm done.
Yeah, that just sounds like some very weird justification to me, but yeah, I'm not fault.
Like, oh, well, Jesus, God would do it, so I can do it too. I could be wrong here, but I really don't think if Jesus was walking on earth today, he would be yapping to his Instagram followers about how it's okay to stalk people and call himself an alpha male.
But who knows? Maybe I'm just not an alpha male enough for this. But you guys might remember me covering Brett Dadig and his AI-induced psychosis that we covered a few months ago, because this was right after he was arrested and charged with cyber stalking, interstate stalking, and interstate threats. And essentially, the whole guy is one of those cautionary tales that women warn each other about when it comes to men who go way overboard after facing some rejection. Except Brett, in a way, thankfully, was not lurking in the shadows. No, he was broadcasting his every move on his podcast. So that at least made things very easy for law enforcement to put everything together. But essentially, he was portraying himself on the podcast as a highly valued alpha male who couldn't understand why any woman would ever want to reject him.
I mean, let's be real. I'm a handsome guy. I'm a personable guy. I'm very successful at what I do. And I'm successful at most things I do. I mean, it's true. Like, you can think I'm cocky. Go right ahead. I'm confident. If that bothers you, look in the mirror and build some self-confidence. How about that? I don't chase...
You know, I think the issue is that you have people that are hyperly insecure about themselves to then where they will go then and feel the need to boost their own ego on TikTok and Spotify and whatever the hell they're doing. But then they quickly realize that no one gives a fuck. And that's when they start like screaming about how alpha they are. But then it just makes them look even more insecure. Yeah, it's a bad play.
I attract. I don't have to chase these girls that don't want to give me the time of day. And I'll just go find one that does give me the time of day.
But in reality,
yeah, is there people that actually listen to this though and be like, yeah.
he was just, conveniently tying everything together for the prosecutor to make their job very easy for when court started. Because Brett was essentially building the whole case against himself. The dude was his own star witness because he kept showing evidence of all of his desires to get back at the people who wronged him. And things got so bad that women on Reddit were trying to warn each other of this guy. But in a way that didn't even help that much because he was already broadcasting where he was, what he was thinking, what he was about to do on his own podcast.
All right, everybody.
Did he sell a course on how to be alpha male?
We made it to Flow. Just pulled in. I'll take you guys with me. We're gonna go to Flow, baby. We're gonna be taking an F45 lifting class today.
This is just a really bizarre situation. Definitely a 2026 problem. You would have never heard about anything like this in the 1990s. We definitely live in interesting times. Like, what kind of world do we live in? Things are getting bizarre.
Yeah, it's the problem of like this guy probably was listening to all those like red pill alpha male gurus who were selling courses, and then it made him then like hate women and himself, and then now he's just angry at the world and then wants to repeat the cycle to make him feel better about himself.
And I have a feeling that things are just going to get so much more bizarre as we go on. But I guess for almost half a year, Brett lived up to what he was trying to brand himself on his podcast for, which was becoming undeniable. But I guess it wasn't in the way that he was trying to portray himself as. Because, you know, he was trying to become undeniable for women.
Well, undeniable in court that you're a fucking weirdo?
But now it's undeniable that he broadcasted himself and stalked these women. And, you know, considering he's facing 55 years in prison, he could be spending the rest of his alpha male days behind bars. But if you're not caught up to speed, near the end of 2025, Brett posts, I guess, his first episode of this Dating Decoded podcast, which only seems to have survived one episode for what it seems like obvious reasons.
In the morning, then we go get breakfast. Then she's like, hey, let's meet up later. It's like
This is the perfect example of, hey, we need to start a podcast, man.
8 o'clock.
I'm not shitting on the hustle, but this is the same exact vibes it gives me. You have one dude who doesn't really give a fuck. You have another dude who kind of gives a fuck, but it's like, fuck it, we're just going to drink to this. And then you have some other dude that's like actually locked in with him.
Shower, meet up with it later in Lawrenceville.
All right.
Okay, yeah, I'm giving the background. So go yourself. Shut the
That dude doesn't even want to be there, bro.
up while I'm talking, please. Thank you. Anyways, she stands me up. I need this who pisses me off more than any human being in the world, but I still love him.
Because I know that your attention span is very short-lived.
Because obviously the group had some really bad chemistry because everyone was kind of freaked out about how Brett was acting. And we found out later that the group of guys met at a bar just a few days ago and...
Oh, yeah, that's how it goes, man. Yeah, we need to fucking, like, we could be totally best friends, man. We could totally start a fucking podcast and, like... So many people fucking listen to us, and like we could all like quit our jobs, we could buy a house together and travel and whatever, man. Let me get your number. I bet you that's how that conversation went.
They don't have too much advice to share.
We're like the same person, but not the same person.
Yeah.
All right.
That dude's like, God damn, why did I agree to this last night?
I don't know where to go from this.
I would say we can talk about how we first met. Yeah.
This dude's too nice and like pretending to care, but he doesn't give a shit. That dude's just saying he ain't gonna show it.
I think you guys should start off.
It's a funny. It's like a really
you guys
funny
met
dating
4 days
story,
before
I guess.
for us. So it's
Yes, so 4 days before, all right?
So what Friday?
You know, if I just met a group of guys at a bar and I had to like sit down on a couch with them, I had to like talk to them with nasty ass white socks on, I don't think I can do it. I hate talking to people in my fucking socks, man. Especially if I don't really know them.
It's what? It's Monday today, so this past Friday.
There's a reason why this podcast is happening, because when you meet your mate, okay, and you know that they're the person, all right, you might as well go with it, all right? Because what's the worst that's gonna happen? The next day is not gonna feel
Bro, that dude wants to get the fuck out of there.
like the day that you just had. So just, I don't know,
Very well said.
just keep going with it.
Especially not considering that Brett clearly didn't decode dating in the slightest. But like I mentioned, the Dating Decoded podcast ended after one episode, and the group had a falling out due to Brett's unhinged behavior, which I'm sure comes as a surprise to absolutely no one.
And then I posted a deranged video of myself highlighting what I was going to talk about. Video I was going to release at 8 p.m. as pay-per-view, come see this beef with me and my friends. That's deranged. I shouldn't have ever done that. It costed me my podcast that I had with my 3 friends. It costed me my membership at Flow. Mostly
My membership at Hustlers University.
It cost me a membership at 45. Like, I lost memberships all these places. People were like, bro, you are literally unhinged and we don't know what you're going to say next. And like, we can't have you be around us. Like, we can't do it.
And the episode is actually still up on YouTube, and the comments are just going crazy because of the cyberstalking case that's going on right now with Brett. And I feel like the funniest comment here is the one that says, the one guy with the channel password is in jail, so they can't even delete this. Oh, man. But apparently this falling out served as the catalyst for Brett to say, well, hey, if they don't want to record a podcast with me, I'm just going to do a podcast with myself. And then he created the podcast called The Standard Podcast, which was his solo adventure about dating and how to become an alpha male and a high value male.
I want to be the best husband, the best dad, the best brother, the best friend, the best coworker, the best manager. Like I said before,
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with those things, but it should stop there. Because the problem is like, even with like Andrew Tate and all that, I said this a million times, like all the Andrew Tate guys, you know, it's like, yeah, get in shape, make money, be a good husband, be a good father, whatever, all those things, like, it's good. But it's just like everything after that is just where it gets ridiculous.
have a relentless drive to be the best I can be. And that's why I'm making this podcast, so I can share it with you. Like, I have the chills talking right now. Like, I literally have the chills because, like, I want to share it with others.
And here in this podcast, he would commonly defer to ChatGPT when he needed more, I guess, affirmation regarding his concerning behavior. And I'm sure you probably know, when you're talking to AI chatbots, they can often reaffirm your truths. So
Dude, like I said, you can be dead fucking wrong. And I mean, that's how they're programmed, man, because they want you to spend as much time on there as they can. It's like any other algorithm. They're trained to keep you on every single platform, whether it's ChatGPT, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. They're trained to keep you on there as long as possible. So especially with something like ChatGPT, if you're having a conversation with them, if they're just going to feel your ego, you're just going to keep talking to it.
So in a way, this can create a very negative feedback loop, which leads us to probably one of the craziest parts of this whole story is you just have hours of podcast content, which is still up, by the way, of him going into full-on AI psychosis. Because here he just uses the AI to excuse his insanity or amp it up.
I'm just really happy with my growth over this period of time. I use ChatGPT religiously. Like, it's my therapist, it's my best friend,
Don't use ChatGPT as a therapist.
I wrote this email and I want to make it nice.
ChatGPT. I use ChatGPT every single day to give me ideas with like YouTube and utility business work stuff. You can say I don't use it. Like I don't use it outside that. I don't use it for like personal life advice. It's like, no, bro.
What I find really shocking is just how much Brett relied on AI for his life. He would go to
realistically, it's like using AI has saved me hours, like probably hundreds of hours worth of like work to do. So it's really beneficial with stuff like that. But personal stuff, like it's a robot, bro. It doesn't even exist. Like it's like you feel like you're almost talking to a person, but you're not. Like there's no soul in it.
ChatGPT when he was feeling down. He would go to ChatGPT when he was trying to write messages for dates. He would go to ChatGPT to, I guess, pump out marketing garbage for some of his like alpha male jobs. And then he would go to ChatGPT to like create these like phony companies and create marketing material for these companies. So everything about his life was just being ran through AI. And again, all of this is up on his podcast still. And you have one moment where essentially he was brought to tears because he told AI to make a story about him meeting the girl of his dreams.
It's subtle, but I feel it. The moment this isn't just a fling, not just a fun story.
And this is a whole separate conversation, but I mean, people, like, there's AI programs where, like, people are, like, in relationships with AI. And that, to me, is wild.
You text good morning without fail, the way you ask if I've eaten, the way you never make me feel like I'm too much for having 2 kids, like somehow that makes me more, not less. My friends notice the glow, my kids ask when you're coming back, and me, I just keep thinking about that first night at the bar and how lucky I was to sit down 2 stools away. Bro, I might cry. Holy if a girl felt like this about me, it's so hard, man. I was in jail for 20 days. Because I just wanted a girl to like me.
On the bright side, most red flags in dating are often kind of hidden, but this one was waving loud and proud. Because to me, this is just the textbook definition.
Yeah, and the problem with like dating AI, like almost like you're talking to like an actual girl, is like that AI will agree with you on every single thing. It doesn't matter what the fuck you say. I think one of the most beautiful parts about being in a relationship is that there are disagreements. And I'm not saying fights and shit, but I'm saying like you're your own person. The person you're dating is their own person. They have their own thoughts, their own feelings, their own opinions on things. And I think I would find it boring to be in a relationship where the person I'm with agrees with me on every single thing. And it's the same thing with friendships. So dating AI takes the human part of that out of that.
Of AI psychosis. Because the dude was jobless, he was homeless the way he moved around, and he was banned from a whole plethora of establishments. And then, of course, he was, I guess, loud enough to where there was multiple Facebook groups and Reddits warning other women about this guy. Yet somehow, I guess he convinced himself, maybe through AI, that he had authority to teach people how to date. So for months, he moved from city to city, continuously meeting girls he swore were his wife at private gyms, places like yoga and Pilates studios, F45, and Barry's boot camp. And often the girls that he would become enamored with were employees of these establishments and were likely only nice to him because, you know, that's their job to do so. And he would hang around, visit their places of work, annoy them online, and then pick up and relocate when he was rejected by them. And the dude overstepped his boundaries so far that he was often banned from the gyms that these women worked at and was even reported to local authorities. And this is all while he was recording all of this for his podcast. And then on top of that, he was posting all of his gripes, which were definitely threats on his Instagram, which were then deleted. So a lot of the Instagram posts that were, I guess, referred to in the lawsuit have been deleted since. But even though his main Instagram account was deleted, he still has a whole bunch of Instagram accounts that belong to him that were his various forms of companies. And all of these companies just seem to be spun up on the spot using ChatGPT, and I think he just lacked the focus to actually just go all in on one project. But he was definitely faking some things pretty blatantly. And then on top of that, he also did a run club, but I guess you can only consider it a run club if running by yourself and calling it a run club is a run club. But anyway, he just continued this pattern.
Yeah, and I don't know. I mean, 'cause it's like you're doing a million different things, and it's like if you're listening to all these alpha male guys, it's like in the back of your head, you're gonna be like, I'm not doing enough. So you're gonna start up 5 different companies, try to fulfill that. But then the problem is like you can only put your energy. Like it's better just to focus on one thing.
The dude essentially would go to a gym, hit on women there who worked there, and then eventually he would get banned because he kept overstepping. So then he went to a new gym, rinse and repeat, got banned there. And then when he exhausted all the gym options in a city, he would go, uh-oh, I guess we have to move up and go to a different city. And then once he was in a new city, he just repeated the cycle. I mean, this is crazy. And again, this is all while documenting everything on his podcast. And when I say documenting on his podcast, he was name dropping the women, he was threatening them, and calling everyone calling him out haters.
This pod is about a special girl.
Yeah, and I think someone like this is like to me the extreme version of someone who will listen to Andrew Tate. Not even just Andrew Tate. I don't want to just call it Andrew, but just like any of those guys. It puts you in such a bad mental place if you allow it to.
A girl by the name of Love You, Girly Pop. You are the reason that the standard exists.
I mean, this is such a bizarre case. And like the threats weren't like, you know, small threats either. No, he was threatening to do things like light the gyms they worked on fire. And then he also threatened to strengthen.
Yeah, and like I just want to make it very clear. Like I'm not blaming the Andrew Tate and all those people for the way he's acting because it's not on them. It is all on the guy who is listening to this and taking it so far to where like he hates women and has this inflated ego. And this is just with anyone. You take certain parts of what you like, discard the parts that you don't like, and you have to make sure to keep your own mental thoughts and opinions and values and morals.
People, but then he would like try to reel it in and be like, nah, I'm kidding. I'm changed. I don't actually think that anymore.
I could have said to them, hey, you guys. I could have. I've been right in that. But that's the old Brett. That's Brett 12 hours ago. This is new Brett.
Yeah, okay, dude. But regardless, when the consequences of his own actions finally came knocking, nobody was surprised except for Brett. And the dude was already arrested in August. He had 2 girls get protective orders filed against him in Pittsburgh, and he was warned about name dropping and making threats about people online more than one time. So when he was finally arrested,
yeah, it's like, did you not think this would come and bite you in the ass? Like, what's the thought process behind this?
In November of 2025 for 3 counts of cyberstalking, I guess you could say that he should have seen that one coming. And he was being held waiting for trial when A federal indictment came in December, and that's why I made my last video on him. Because back then, Brett was hit with 14 counts, including cyber stalking, interstate stalking, and interstate threats related to 11 alleged victims in Pennsylvania, as well as Ohio, Florida, Iowa, and New York. Dude was all over the place. He was just being a menace to so many states. Honestly, like, if he wasn't that much of a freak, I would kind of be impressed by how much ground this guy covered, especially in that short amount of time. It seems like the dude essentially dedicated his life to just
Yeah, that's actually insane.
harassing women at their workplaces. Like, dude, what are you doing? So to the outside world, it seemed like it was pretty obvious that Brett was screwed, but I guess to Brett, he came out and he was going to fight this. So he made a statement saying that he was an upstanding citizen, he's never had any run-ins to the law, and he was mentally stable. Okay. And then obviously a lot of people started speculating, is he going to start blaming ChatGPT for this? Because clearly ChatGPT was like the co-host to his own podcast. Obviously, for legal purposes, ChatGPT nor OpenAI has nothing to do with him other than the fact that he bought a subscription with them.
Yeah, and like I said, I can, like, yes, in this situation, listening to ChatGPT or any of those red pill guys, like, yes, they probably was not a good thing, and I'm not placing blame on anyone else but this Brett guy. Like, it is all on him for sure. My thing that I've kind of just been saying is, like, you just have to be careful with how much you let these things, like, get inside your own head.
And was just talking to ChatGPT on his podcast. Just felt like I needed to know that. But luckily, he doesn't actually try to argue that in this case, because on March 19th, Brett pleaded guilty to 11 counts before the United States judge, Marilyn J. Horan. And now he has a scheduled sentencing for July 9th, 2026. And I'm pretty sure it's safe to say that Brett is probably going to prison for this. Will he get the full 55 years? Probably not. But still, he kind of cooked himself here. Like, even if the dude is trying to be remorseful right now, he went on for months, publicly cyberstalking 11 different women. Then on top of that, he threatened them on multiple platforms. He contacted their families and friends, threatening them and vowing to get revenge. Like, what is going on? So again, the dude's currently facing 55 years in prison and a $2.75 million fine, and he can get both at the same time. But Brett is currently being held in custody until his sentencing, but it's safe to say that he's going to get some time in prison because, you know, breaking PFA violations has a minimum sentence of 12 months in prison. So I guess we just kind of have to wait and see what happens. But if you're new here, feel free to subscribe, drop a like.
W video if you like, subscribe, leave a comment, do the thing. Bye.
Got these voices in my head, I got something